Yeah.
Okay. So, hi guys, welcome. So if you guys remember what we were talking about last week, we said this week, which is our last class, we're going to be doing kind of a hodgepodge mixture of different subject areas. And so the first one we talked about was weather. And so that we're going to start in doing. And what we're going to do is, I'm going to be honest, we do not have a list because it's a hodgepodge. So it's like sometimes we'll do weather, sometimes we do this. It kind of depends and varies a lot. So it's not an easy one to just, oh, here's the list already, because it does vary. So with that, what's going to probably happen is we're going to be kind of having to think and adding and losing. So what I like from you guys is I want you to add any specific signs for that topic that you want to learn. That way we have it kind of documented there so we can see, and that way it'll help us to write a list for later, if that makes sense. So the first time we're going to do for weather is we're going to do the sign for weather itself. So the sign for weather is you're going to have two W's and you're going to put them together and go back and forth. Weather, weather, weather. Now, let's do the next one we're going to do is rain. And so for rain, what you're going to do is you're going to have kind of like these slightly bent open fives and you're going to go rain, rain. So it's like the raindrops coming down, rain. Now, what's really cool about when you're doing like weather signs like rain is, so for example, which I think we talked about a few weeks ago, but I'm going to kind of reiterate, is like, we have a lot of phrases like idioms that we use. It's raining cats and dogs because it's talking about it's downpouring, things like that. And so those don't really translate. You can't really say like it's raining cats and dogs because that's not what's happening. It's just raining hard. But there are some ways you can kind of vary with the signing that can help to express that and show that. So for example, for rain, if you're talking about like it is just downpour, like it is just coming in the streams, what will happen is you make that motion of it is just coming down, like it is coming down sideways and angled. And that's kind of how you can really show like the rain. It's not just raining, it's like it is just pouring down, coming down so fast and crazy. So that's the variation of rain. So rain, then rain, like downpour. Okay. The next one we're going to do is the sign for sun. And so the sign for sun is you're going to start kind of like this, like it's not a full like circle or O, it's kind of a flat one. You're going to start away from you like this, and you're going to turn it and open towards you. Sun. And what it is, like the visual for this is like, here's the sun, and here are the sun rays coming out to shine and warm you up. Sun. Sun. If you're talking about it being very sunny, like it's sunny outside, you can do sun and then just like the rays are just beaming. It is very sunny outside. So sun, sunny, sunny. Okay. The next one we're going to do is we're going to have the three kind of bad weathers that not one we seem, oh, excuse me, my voice just kind of was cracking there. One of them we do see often. The other one we see a good bit, and then the third one is we don't see hurricanes as often. That's the one. They happen nearby, so we're going to still do that one. So the first one we're going to do is the sign for tornado. So there are two variations of the sign for tornado. The first one, I'm going to show you the more common one I see here, is you're going to have your non-dominant palm up. Your dominant's going to come in kind of like when we do our 1,000, and then you're going to bring it away. Tornado. So it touches and bounces away. Tornado. Tornado. The other sign of tornado is you're going to have your two pointer fingers. You're going to turn them kind of upside down, not upside down, up and down. There we go. Can't talk. And you're going to go tornado, 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 tornado. I do see this one more often here, the bouncing off the hand tornado, but I have seen this one as well, tornado. tornado. Okay. The next one we have is floods. Like we know what floods are. I love how I was about to start describing what a flood is, and I was like, no, we're adults. We know what a flood is. Sometimes that teacher in me comes out a little bit more. So when you're describing a flood, you typically, what you do is you sign the sign for water. So water, and then you go and you bring the water up. What's really key is, again, your facial expression. So if you notice, I'm like puffing out my cheeks, like showing like it's filling up. So that's kind of really important. You don't want to just go water. I mean, you could, but water helps express it better. So I'm trying to think what I was going to say with that, with water. If you were talking about like if you had like your house flooded, or like you had a little flood in your house, like not a severe where it's like completely like gone, but like you had a flood in your house, you would want to do house, which we haven't done. I love that I'm just throwing this in here. So house is you start with like the pointer, the triangle basically, and then you go make the square. House, house, house. So you would say like house, water, flood. Okay. So it's always funny to me because every time I'm always like, I look at Alexa's screen, I'm like, nope, it's black. So then I look at her and I'm like, oh, Miss Katie's got it right. So I'm always like, okay, we good? So that's how you assign the sign for flood. The third one I was going to do is hurricane. Now, what's cool with hurricane, and the reason I say this is you'll see what I mean. So for hurricane, you're going to have these threes and put the fingers together. You're going to turn, almost think about like when you pretend to like take a picture. You're going to put your thumbs together and then you'll bounce your like H's basically. Now, hurricane, hurricane. Now, the concept with this is that if you look at it from like a bird's eye view, like down below, it looks like an actual hurricane on a map. So it looks like the formation. It's really cool. I don't know why. Like I thought that was just the coolest thing ever. Because I remember when I learned this, I was like, why is this hurricane? Why? And then I was like, oh, that makes so much more sense. Like it visually looks like the motion of a hurricane. So, hurricane. Okay. Let's see. What other kind of weathers do we have?
Do we
Snow.
have a sign for severe or severe weather, or is that something that you would just be like, what, like weather, and then just spell out like, severe?
So this is where you can do, if you remember serious,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
serious. So you can do severe, the weather severe. You can add that little in there to show that it's severe. Typically for storm, I've seen kind of different variations for the sign for the word storm. I've seen finger spelling it. Because, and I think half of it could be because when we talk about, oh, it's storming outside, oh, it's stormy, there's storms. It's not just always storm. It's very, it's very broad. There's
Yeah.
rain, there's lightning, there's thunder, there's, all these different variations. And I think storm can be such a broad subject that there typically is more specific, like, oh, it's raining, like it's bad.
Yeah.
Which I don't think we've done bad or good. See, this is why we have the hodgepodge class. I
Well, I think we maybe did good night. Maybe we did.
don't think we
No,
did.
don't trust me.
We have varied. I've told y'all
I get that they all smush together in my head. We should do
they
bad and
do.
good.
And then we do. Well, and I was sitting here and I was like, wait a minute, bad. Because like I just say bad weather. Like that's kind of how I say storm is like it's bad weather. So we're gonna hold our weather real quick and come over here to good and bad because those are pretty key ones to know. So the first one we're gonna do is good, which we did do, I think, good morning. So that there we did our good, but I don't think we did bad, like because we weren't trying to say bad morning. So if you remember our good is you have your dominant hand on your chin while your non-dominant's palm up and you go good. 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 Bad is going to start the same. So dominant on your chin, non-dominant palm up. But this time you're going to turn it and go down. Bad. Bad. So good is it's continuing. I like to think about it's good, it's continuing, you want to keep it going, like that's a good thing. You want to keep it on versus bad as you want to change it. Like, no, that's not good. Bad. Bad. So I typically for like storms, I say bad weather, and then I kind of will describe like it's raining, things like that. That did make me think of lightning and thunder. So the sign for lightning is you're going to have your non-dominant palm up, palm down, sideways like this. You're going to have your pointer finger of your dominant. You're going to kind of point it kind of like it's between my like two fingers. And then you're going to go zigzag. Lightning. 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 Now, if you were going to talk about when we've had those really bad weather days where it's like nonstop lightning is just over and over and over again, the way you can do that is you can just go and keep on making that motion. Like it is just kept having like lightning kept going on. So like visually like showing that it just was nonstop lightning. Now, the next one is going to be thunder. So for thunder, the way you do it is you're going to point to your ear first. And I'm going to show you the motion before I like kind of explain it because it is like a little bit hard to like describe it initially. So you point to your ear first and then you go. So it's like you have open fives and then they close to fists. And it's like to represent like the ground moving, like it's vibrating, like the thunder. Because that's typically how it is with thunder, is it rumbles and it shakes the ground. So I'm trying to think. Oh, I was gonna say snow. So for snow, snow is going to be similar to our rain, but instead of bouncing it down, we gracefully wiggle our fingers back and forth because snow is pretty and we don't get it often. I always like to say, like, I know some people probably in the north who get snow often are like, oh my gosh, I'm so over the snow. I'm probably like, yeah, this is not fun. But for us here in the south, we don't get it often. So this one is always just a fun little one to do because we don't get it often. So snow. Let's see. What other weather one? There was one more I was gonna do. Cannot remember. Are there any weather signs you guys can think of that you're curious about, like how you would sign it or things like that? She's trying to unmute herself, but it's funny because it will unmute and then it goes back to muting again.
Okay,
There.
there's something wrong with my mouse pad. Okay, I see Alexis put blizzard, and then I was going to ask about it's more place. But like if I'm at the library and I'm trying to tell someone there's a severe storm, we got to go to the basement.
Mhm.
Like how would I go about that?
Okay, that's a good one. That's a good one. Okay. So let me do Blizzard real fast because that one is kind of short. That one you would just do snow bad, like
Oh,
severe snow, severe. I think I've not really seen a sign for blizzard. Doesn't mean there probably isn't one, but we don't have blizzards as much as we just have snow. You know, I know to us it's severe, it's bad when we get like that high, like 3 inches and plus, but like we don't have what's really like called a blizzard as often. So I just see like severe snow, like it's bad, or they'll start to be like the sign for high, like it's getting up high. And it's like the H and you bring it up like high, or they'll be like it's increasing, where it's like putting up those kinds of things. I see those kind of descriptors. Those are not ones you really need to worry about signing because again, this is just ASL 1, but they might explain like, oh, the snow is like, they'll be like, ooh, it's like keeps on and it's just, and they might repeated the motion again like that, kind of like I did with the lightning. That's what I
mhm.
think. Okay. If you were talking about bad weather and needing to take shelter, that kind of thing. I know it can kind of vary, but so the first thing you would want to like kind of do is like if you're saying like it's bad weather or like let's say it's a tornado, because typically we do have to hide for tornadoes. I would recommend being like bad weather tornado, and then you would do the we, so that pointing to the shoulder and to you, hide, hide.
Okay.
So the sign for hide is you have your dominant thumbs up, your non-dominant's kind of in this bent, if you think about like when we do turtle, that kind of bent hand shape,
Mhm.
and you bring your thumb underneath, hide. So it's like you're thinking about making the turtle motion. Stick your thumb here.
Wait.
There you go. Yeah. So hide.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Hide.
Gotcha. Okay. And then I could say what's calm? Okay, so you come me. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
And if they ask like where, you can say basement. And basement is you have your non-dominant palm out, and basement's this with the thumbs up underneath basement.
Okay, perfect. Okay.
So yeah, but I would do like hide, come to the basement, like come with me, basement, basement.
Okay.
Since we are getting in the springtime, it's good to know these things.
I think just as soon as I don't ask it, like next week, there'll be like a school
Bad
for the
weather.
deaf field trip and bad weather. Like, I am
And
not
you're like,
prepared.
you're like, come on with me. And they're gonna be like, what are you talking about, you crazy lady? But yeah. Are there any other weather signs you guys can think of or need repeat? I know we haven't really repeated. It's a little hard to repeat every single one just because I know we've kind of thrown a bit. But are there any of those that you need like repeated again? There was a dog next to me, and I know if I put my arm back down, he's gonna nudge it. So I'm like lifting my arm up awkwardly, like just pretend like I'm resting them. Okay. If you do end up needing one to repeat or anything like that, just put it in the chat. What we're gonna move on to now is we're gonna do a little bit of money signs. I'll just kind of do a few of the basic ones, and then we're gonna move on to some places, okay? So the first one I wanna do is the sign for money itself. So the sign for money is you have your non-dominant palm up, your dominant's kind of in this pinched hand puppet again, and you pat it on top, money. Visualize like having cash in your hands and hold like patting it down, money. So if you were going to ask someone how much something cost, you can do how much money, or you could do, well, we're just going to leave it at that. We're not going to get too complicated because again, ASL 1, higher up, but yeah, money, how much? How much? If you wanted to say like dollars, the sign for dollars, you're going to have your non-dominant palm sideways like this. You're going to put your dominant on top like this, and you're going to slide it out. Dollar, dollar, dollar. So if you were going to say $1, $2, $15, that sort of thing, you would add that number and then dollar. If you were talking about coins, what you would do for coins is palm up, and you're going to make like this little 9, and you're going to pat it on top, like you're making the motion of there's different coins in your palm. Coins. Then we have, oh, I had it in cents. So if you're talking about how much money it is, and then they say like, oh, it's 25 cents. The way you do it is you're going to point to your head and then come to the coin, the number. So 25 cents, 25 cents. There's nothing like, there's not really specific different signs for like penny, nickel, dime, quarter. All of them are just going to be point and the numbers. So like 10 cents, 5 cents, 1 cent. So penny is just tap 1, nickels tap 5, tap 10 for dime, tap 25. So you could say $2.25. That's how you would separate it. So $2.25. And then if you wanted to do a card, like a credit card, there are two kind of ways you can do it. I'm going to show you both. One of them is like the credit card, but it is also a little bit like old school. And then the other one is also one I've seen as well. So the sign for credit card is credit card, like credit card. So if you think about like when way back when, at least I know for me, because like I grew up in the 90s, late 90s, early 2000s. But like when people would use credit cards, they would give the card and then they do that machine back and forth. And so I've seen, that's where I say this one's kind of an old sign because it's like credit card. And so you would do credit card, like to show like you're talking about like credit cards. So like,
I want you to know that up until maybe just before COVID happened, Crestline Pharmacy in Crestline Village still used the and they would ring it up on the calculator and like and then they would do it in the like it was amazing. I was really kind of impressed that they held out that long, that
oh yeah.
that place, but it just always cracked me up that like, man, we were still doing that.
See, well, and that's the thing that I think is funny is I remember learning it and going, and like my teacher even straight up said, I bet y'all have never seen that before. Cause like at
See,
that,
that makes me wonder, like it's just like how the save sign, the save symbol is the disc. And like my
Mhm.
kids don't know what a disc is, And so it's like at what point do they change it? Because people are like, what is that?
Exactly. And so I remember when my teacher talked about it because I said, well, I know I can see why. And they asked because they just showed us the sign and then they asked us, why do you think it is? And I was like, because of where you put the card and then the paper and that. And they were like, how do you know that? And my only way I could say it was because of Home Alone 2 in
Uh,
the movie when he goes into the hotel and he's trying to fake get a room and it
Sure.
works. There's a very momentary scene where it is watching the credit card get run through because he goes, wow, it worked. And I've never forgotten that scene. That is the only reason I knew that's how it was before. But before that, no, not a clue. The other one is card, where it's palm up and then it's like the C and you go across card. Card.
That makes more sense. I mean, for
Yeah.
today.
Yeah. So I think that one, because that's the one I'll see is like, I'll be like card, money, which one, that kind of thing. So, but
And
yeah,
then if you're saying something like Venmo, Cash App, PayPal, you're just finger spelling.
yes, you can do phone pay, like phone and money, and then do
Hmm.
like cash app or Venmo, Vin.
Yeah.
Yeah. I always flip I say Vin no instead of Vin Mo. I've caught myself doing that. I do it through text sometimes. I'm like, oh, that is bad.
Probably should be Venmo.
So, but yes, that's how you would do those. Any other money signs you guys can think of? I try to keep those just kind of very basic, what ones you might happen upon, really.
How do you say change? Like, not change like coins, but like, I need to give you some change. Are you getting change? You should have change. Like extra? Do you know what I'm saying?
Like, I'm trying to think of how I know what you're saying, but my brain is like not
Well,
getting
and that's totally fine. Like, it's so not
it.
important.
Because if you were trying to say like, do you have change or like you want to swap like $5 for like coins? If I wanted to do or like a dollar for like 4 quarters, things like that.
Hmm.
The way I'd probably do it is like I would say money, coins, exchange can. So I would do
Okay.
money to coins exchange can. And then if they said yes, I would say I have like I'd be like have $1 replaced for 4 coins.
Okay.
Or maybe I probably would do 4 25 cents coins. That.
Gotcha. Okay.
That's how I would kind of explain that. That's one we don't do often. That's why I was like, I have to think on that.
Okay, see, and the reason I asked that because I do it every day with people making copies or printing or whatever,
Mhm.
and that's actually helpful to like think about
Okay.
it that way.
Oh, I'm glad
Not
because
that
I was,
I run into people that sign every single day, but I have had a couple of
yeah,
people.
and it's a
So
good
yeah.
chance to like have that knowledge to know you can,
Yeah.
so, but yeah, that's how I would do it. Okay, let's see. What else did we say we were gonna do? Okay, so now the money's for places. I'm like
Yeah.
relying on that short little thing that I have on my list that is literally just titled weather, money, places.
Well, the only thing I have after that, I did the same thing. It says dumb or stupid in sports. So there you go.
So for places, the first sign we're gonna do obviously is the sign for place. And so for place, it's like you have two Ks. Do you two Ks? You're gonna turn them sideways. You're gonna have them away from you and together. So it's like your middle fingers are touching. You pull them out, back, and together again. So it's like you're making a square, like a location. It's a place. Place. Excuse me. Okay. The first one we're going to do is the sign for school because, excuse me, school teacher, can't help it. It's going to always be the first thing. So the sign for school is you're going to have your palm, non-dominant palm up. Your dominant is going to pat school. You just tap. That's it. School. Then for library, if you guys remember when we did librarian, we did the sign for library. So L, circular motion, library. If you were talking about a specific school, like for example, let's say I'm just talking about my high school, which my high school is kind of a mouthful. You do have to finger spell like the entire school. But if you're talking about a high school, you can do HS. So like when I do mine, I'd be like Hewitt Trustville High School. HS is my school. If you were doing like elementary school, elementary is your non-dominant is going to be palm down. You have an E and you put it under elementary school, elementary school. And then middle school. Middle school is palm up. You're gonna have that your middle finger. That is it. Wow. I kept saying it's not middle finger. It's not middle, but it is. It is. It's the middle finger. And you're gonna go middle, middle, middle. And this is just the sign for middle in itself, like overall. So middle school. Middle school. Okay. Now, let's see. The next one we're going to do is the police station. So for that, you typically just do the sign for police, which I don't know if we actually did that one when we did jobs for cops, police. They're the same sign. Anyways, it's like a baby C, is what I call it. It's just your pointer finger and your thumb, and you're going to go across and tap, and it's like the badge. So police, police. So if you were going to say you need to go to the police station or something like that, you would do like go, which if you remember is where I said it's like that open. Think about Baby Shark. Okay, it starts open and it pulls away from you and pinches. Go. Go to the police. That. Go police. The next one is going to be doctor's office, which most of the time you can just say the doctors. So doctor, if you remember from when we did the jobs, doctor. But if you wanted to say doctor's office, you would do doctor and then office, which I love that I said this, and then I didn't explain other rooms and things like that, which I should have done in the first place. We're going to go ahead with this and then I'll catch up. So office is going to be two O's. You're going to have them sideways. You're going to start them like you're going to turn them like to where they're in front of each other. And then you pull them out. Office. Office. And it's like you're making the top and bottom wall, and then the right and left wall. Office, office. So doctor's office. Now, let's focus on that office shape for a minute here, okay? This is what I should have started with, and I didn't think of that. So this motion is used for any kind of room. So if you were talking about like a bedroom, classroom, any kind of room like that, you would do the sign for room. There are two ways. The first one is more ASL. The second one is that more C, that English. Okay. So the first one for room is you have like bent hands, thing like that. So they're in front of you, like, yeah, top and bottom. Think about it if you're looking at it from where my view is. Like I have my bottom one, I have my top one. So you have this, and then it comes to the side. Room. This is also box, might I add. Their context. Context is really how those help differentiate it. So, but room. The second way you can sign it, which is the more English, is R's. So then you start with two R's, you start in front of you, and then sideways. Room. Room. Okay. With that, that is something that'll always kind of relate back to any type of room you're talking about. So if you're talking about a bedroom, living room, a classroom, Anything like that. Office, they all kind of are coincide right there. Office is that O, but you still could do technically doctor's office. This O is technically more English than it is ASL. But I do see it more commonly used for office. So it's not one of those words like if you did that, they'd be like, how dare you? They want it. At least most of them, I've not seen that have been a problem. So I know that was probably very complicated because that one's already a hard one to like describe through Zoom because I can't like tilt my hand. You guys can see where how I'm placing them, but it's like in front of you and behind and like kind of it's like in front and then you put them to the side. um if you were going to do bedroom, you would do bed. So the sign for bed is bed. So bedroom, bedroom. Mm-hmm. Living room would do living and room. So living is two L's. You're going to kind of start down low on the sides, like where your ribs kind of end. And then you bring those L's down there and up. Live. Live. This is also how you can sign the sign for like it's live. The live animal, it's living. Where do you live? Like, where do you live? Like, do you live here? Blah, blah, blah. Like, live, and you could do where. Live, where. Um, no. Good question. We'll get to that. So I was gonna say living room is live room. Living room. So Alexis asked if the signs for sleep and bedroom are the same. So bedroom is bedroom, but sleep, if you remember when we did wolf with our animals, I said to make sure you come out. That's because coming down is sleep. 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 So our bedroom and then sleep. Okay. Let's see. So now we're going to get out of the house. We keep talking about the bedroom and the bathroom. Well, bedroom. If you remember, bathroom was from a while ago, which was the T for toilet or the restroom with the R's. But we're going to get out of the house because we've done house, bedroom, living room. Oh, we didn't do the kitchen. We can't. We have to come back in the house again. I'll keep trying to pull us out and we'll keep having to come back in. Kitchen is same as cook. So kitchen. I have seen some people use a K, kitchen, to separate that. I don't use that one as much, but that is also one I have seen. That's that more English with the K's for kitchen. So we had our kitchen, we had our bedroom, living room, office, house. So let's leave the house now. Let's finally actually leave that. The next thing I was going to talk about is stores. So the way you would separate like grocery stores, clothing stores, things like that, is you would add the sign for that before it. So before we do that, let's do the sign for store. Store is going to be these hand puppets, but they're facing down. Okay. And you're going to bring them up here and go store, store, store. Excuse me, store. Okay. This is the generalized sign for store, any kind of store. Now, if you were talking about the grocery store, you would want to say food store. Food store. There are a few grocery stores or a few places that typically like people do go shopping for food. That do have their own signs that I've seen. I do think they are a little bit more regional signs, so they may not be ones that like translate over to like if you talk to someone from Georgia, things like that. Not sure if they would have the same sign or not. So the only reason I say that is I don't want you going around. I don't want you saying, well, this is the sign for Target. And someone saying, what are you talking about? I've never seen that sign before. And then like, what? Yeah, like I said, regional signs can kind of vary. So Target, though, I have seen have its own sign. And so what I've seen for Target is you have a pointer finger, you bend it and bring it and point it to your nose. Target, 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 Target. And for this, my visual with this is like obviously like the motion of it's a circle and then a dot in the middle, like a target. So target, target, target. Okay. The next one I've seen is Walmart. Walmart is going to have your non-dominant in a fist and it's sideways. Your dominant starts in that W and it's resting on top, and you bend it to an M, Walmart. And then you bounce it back and forth. So Walmart, Walmart, Walmart. For groceries like Aldi and I'm trying to think of somewhere else. When Dixie, Piggly Wiggly, all those kinds of things, I've seen those fingers spelled. So like Aldi, Win, Dixie, Piggly Wiggly. Those are kind of finger spelled. But I have seen Walmart and Target. Maybe it's just because I do shop at Target a lot. I do have like my whole family. We're all big Target people. So, okay. That's right. I was going to go into some restaurants. The next sign I was going to do is the sign for, nope, I lied. Sorry. I said we were going to do stores and I just completely skipped over clothing stores. So if you were talking about going clothes shopping, like you were going like getting clothes, you would do like going to different stores. You would do the sign for clothing, and the sign for clothing is you're gonna have two fives. Your thumbs are going to brush off kind of your upper shoulders. Clothing, clothes, clothing. So clothing store, clothing store. Now, for most of the signs for clothing stores, like specific ones, they are fingerspelled. Obviously, Target and Walmart, because you can buy clothes there. Those you can still do Walmart, Target. It's just say clothing, like clothing store, and then or Target. Okay. How are we doing? I know I feel like we're going fast, but I want to check on you, especially you, Alexis. Perfect. Okay. So now let's where's that going? Man, there was some restaurants. There we go. Let's talk about our dining and our food and going out to dinner. So the sign for restaurant is you're going to have two R's. You're going to start on the opposite side of your mouth. So like if you're doing your left hand, it's on your right side, right hand's on your left. And you're going to go restaurant, 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 restaurant. Now, most restaurants, you do have to finger spell. They are I've not seen really any specific restaurants that have their own signs really. The only one that I've seen a few of are more of like the fast food places, which fast food is just it's like two L's and you bend them back. Fast, fast food, or fast food with open hands. Fast. I typically do the L's and go fast. Fast food. What I was gonna say, there's only a few I've seen for like fast food restaurants that I've seen actually have like name signs. One of them is McDonald's. So you have your non-dominant, kind of in that fist again, like we did Walmart. And this time you're gonna go MD, McDonald's, 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 McDonald's. The other one I've seen is Burger King. And that one you do BK, Burger King. So the sign for king, any kind of king, queen, princess, prince, whichever, is going to be like making that motion of the sash. So for for like king, we'll just do king. K starts up here, across your shoulder, and you bring it down to your hip. So think about a sash. King. So for Burger King, it's Burger King, BK. Or you can just still do Burger King. I've seen both of those kind of vary. Any other fast food places I've seen? I don't think so. I think it's always kind of silly because some of them are can be very regional. Like I remember I saw one for Chick-fil-A and I thought that was it. And like found out no, it's just that one person does their own sign for Chick-fil-A because they go so often. I said, oh, okay, got it. Because like I signed it to someone and they're like, no, I just finger spelled Chick-fil-A. And I was like, oh, Okay, well, I saw this. My bad. So sometimes there'll be like very, very regional, like in the family regional signs. But yeah, so there's our nice little restaurants and our fast food. Let's see, where else can we go? Where else do we go? Any other places you guys can think of? I'm trying to think of some more, but still trying to keep it basic, not too specific. Any other places? Ooh, okay, those are good ones. Okay. So the movie theater is the sign for it's all together for one. It's the movies. So the sign for movie is movie. So you have your non-dominant palm sideways, and you have your dominant going back and forth. Movie, movie. It is similar to cheese. I typically the way I separate it is cheese is more that open hand and pushed kind of flat, like it's smushed, versus movie. Movie is like more together. Movie. So you can say I'm going to the movies. The movies. Mm-hmm. That. And if you go to see a movie and they ask you what's the name, they may go title, which is like title, like the air quotes, this thing. You unfortunately have to finger spell everything. That's technically the correct way. Even if it's things that are saying like, why can't I think of one? Like, oh, I'm trying to think of an example where there's like actual signs in it.
Like if it was like the Three Bears, like something you could
Yes.
easily sign, you
Yes.
wouldn't.
Yeah, you can't like three bears. Like, um, really, you should finger spell the titles. That's just kind
Is
of the
that
more.
because people think you're actually watching Three Bears? Like, do you know what I'm saying? Is that because of the
It does relate with that literal sense, and it's like more formal of being that's the title of it. Especially because a lot of times we'll have movies where the titles may say stuff, but that's not exactly what it's like about, or like not necessarily, you know. And so it's just better off to do like air quote motion like this, quote, the three bears, where you just finger spell it all out. It sucks, especially when you have really long, like Harry Potter movies, all that. Yeah. That's all I can think of is just trying to finger spell Harry Potter and the goblet of fire or whatever, like, but that is like typically how you would perfect like formally sign it. Some people might say, "Oh, I know which one you're talking about." Typically, that's the nice thing is that about halfway through the movie title, they catch it and they go, "Oh, I know which one you're talking about," and then you can stop. But if they're like, "No, I still don't know," then you kind of gotta keep going. It's not fun. But yeah, so that's how you would title a movie that you went to go see. Um, then museum. So museum is you have two M's. You're going to start kind of up here at the top like together. So it's like two M's. I have them kind of sideways. That's why they look weird. And you go museum, museum, museum. So it's like you're making like the whole square kind of shape. Museum, museum. If you were talking about a specific type, like a space museum or a science museum, you would add the science museum. If you're talking about a historical person, like a history museum, you can do the sign for history, which is an H, and you go history. It's like you're bouncing it. History museum. History museum. Art museum, you can also do so art museum. So that one also is where you add that art motion in the museum. So you can kind of specify those. Any other places you can think of? I'm also trying to think of one. Okay. So if you were gonna go get your hair, like going to the salon to go get your hair done, typically the way you would say it is like I say, like I'm going haircut. That's how I sign it basically. So haircut or hair salon, even if you're not getting a haircut, like I go and I get my hair, I'll fully admit, y'all have seen the color. I got color in my hair. I don't go to get it cut. It's never been short, but I do get it to get like dyed. And so what I'll do is I'll say I went to the hair salon, and it's like making that motion of like cutting with scissors. So like I'm cutting my hair. So hair salon. And then I'll say like I went and I'll be like dyed. So die is like you're holding it with you have two nines and you're like dipping it. Dyed hair. I'll be like dyed. So go to the salon, dye my hair. All right. Any other places? See, I don't think about these places. I don't know why it is. Is like the minute I have to actually think of places, I'm like, I don't know any locations. I don't go anywhere. And I'm like, yes, I do, but I
Did you
can't
do
think.
grocery store? Food, is
Yeah,
it food store?
food store. Yep.
Yeah, okay.
And I was talking about how some grocery stores and like shopping stores have their own places, like have their own like name signs, but they're like regional versus really you finger spelling them all. The zoo, you finger spell the zoo. But it's kind of funny because that one is almost like one on its own is like zoo. Just it's very fast. So it's not like you're going zoo, it's like zoo, zoo. The zoo. If you were going to go to the vet, like you're going to the vet's office, the sign for vet is VET. It's all it is you finger spell vet. So if you're talking about I'm a vet, you would be like vet. Or a veterinarian, you'd be VET. You can do animal doctor. So if you said like I went to the vet or I went to the animal doctor, you can do that. I've seen those both be used. Any other places? I think we're good on places. If there's any others that you think of, let me know. Okay, the next thing I have is I have like really two signs and then one more category. Okay. So Miss Katie had one of our people asked about signs for dumb and stupid, which I know is such a random one. But like if you're saying, what was the phrase? Like I'm doing, what was it?
She didn't give me a phrase, I don't think.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, I mean, she just asked if there were signs for dumb or stupid.
Okay. So, okay, good. So I guess it does correlate with like when we're talking, like describing a person, because like we talk about spot smart and things like that. So here are the two. So the first one we're gonna do is dumb. And so for dumb, it's an A, and you just put it on your forehead. That's dumb. You're dumb, that's dumb. The next one is stupid. Stupid is gonna have like a two sideways. You start in front of your nose and you flip it up. Stupid. 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 So yeah, dumb, stupid. I always think those. So it's funny. I don't think.
Henry's sitting at the table with me, and he was like, "What was stupid?"
Well, I'm gonna look
He's
weird.
totally gonna do that at school tomorrow.
Well,
Oh yeah. I was gonna say those are the few signs that usually like can like they catch them so fast. You try to get them to like remember these spelling or these words, and then but they know how to say dumb. They know how to say stupid. I'm like, okay, okay. So the last part I have is sports signs. And I'm only gonna do a few because I know we have like 9 minutes. Actually, I'm gonna just do, you know what I'm gonna do? Alexis, you pick the few specific sports that you want because I know there's like a lot. And since you're here, I'm gonna let you kind of pick the ones that you would specifically be interested in seeing. You can also add any signs that you would be that you're curious of that don't have to be related to sports. The reason I do this is so we're not like I'm not throwing about 20 different signs at you at the last 9 minutes. So I know you're having to think. And I keep putting you on the spot and I apologize. But when you're the only one, that's what happens at school. If you're the only kid there for the day, I'm like, oh, you get full attention on you. Like, no hiding. Let's see. Golly. Okay. Perfect. Thank you. All right. Awesome. So here are the four we're going to do. So the first one is football. So the sign for football is you're going to have these open fives, and then you go football, football, football. So this is the visual of like the best visual is like when the opposing teams are running together, and they collide. That motion is like they're running into each other. football, football. So we have football. The next one we have is basketball. Yes, I will add this one. The next one we have is basketball. There are two ways I've seen it. The first one I see more often is you have these threes. You're gonna slightly bend them, and you go basketball, 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 basketball. It's like you're throwing the basketball, basketball. The other one I've seen is basketball. So it's like your non-dominant sideways, dominant pops it up. Basketball, basketball. Okay, I'm gonna add it here. Sports, the sign for sports itself is 2 thumbs up and you go back and forth. Sports, sports, sports. Then we have soccer. Soccer is going to have your non-dominant sideways, open palm sideways. Your dominant is going to be in that B, and you're going to kick it. Soccer. You don't have to have your elbow out as ridiculous as I am. I keep catching myself doing that. Soccer, soccer, soccer. And then the last one we have is dance. Excuse me. So dance is going to be, there you go. Look at you go. It's going to be palm up. You're going to have your dominant hands with the 2 fingers like the V, and you're going to go back and forth, dance. I feel, that's a sneeze, sorry. It's starting to hit those allergy seasons where like I feel like I'm going to sneeze, and if I don't do it quickly, I'm like, whoo. But so for dance, this like it's just think about the motion like you're swinging back and forth. Now, I was going to say, if you were talking about being a dancer, you would do dance person, dancer. But for football, basketball, and soccer, or even sports, what you would do is you want to do footballer. Don't really do that. You would do football player. So you do football, and then we didn't do the sign for play, so I'm going to add that one here. Play is 2 Y's. You shake them, so play, person. So it'd be football, player, player. Same for basketball player is basketball, player, player. So you would just add that nice little play to it. Let's see. If you were talking about your favorite sport, you would do that, which we've done favorite, but I was just going to combine them together. So I'd be like, my favorite sport is what? So you'd be like, my favorite what? And then you would answer it, which mine is baseball.
And
To watch
also, team is just like
group. Yeah. So if you remember our family signs, I think we talked there too. I talked about a group or a class, a group. I said sometimes I typically do use the letters, even though it's more English, I use the letters because it does help identify. Team is in there too. T's, team. So football, team, soccer, team, things like that. So, let's see. Okay. Any other signs you guys can think of? They don't have to be necessarily related to sports, but any others you can think of that you're curious of. Pasta. Okay. Oh man, I don't know if I can't remember we did it. So pasta is the same as spaghetti. So any kind of noodle thing. It's going to be 2 pinkies. You're going to bring them together like this, and you're going to spiral them out. Pasta. Pasta. Spaghetti. Typically, it's like the context will kind of catch if you're talking about what kinds. Like I had one of my students, he was talking to me about how his mom cooked spaghetti for dinner last night, and then his brother straight up wanted buttered noodles. And he signed both. He said, Mom cooked spaghetti last night. Brother asked Mom buttered noodles instead. And Mom was like, and I knew exactly what he meant. Like I caught it all, and it's because the context makes it connect easier. So any
Also, he is ratting out that brother to his
oh,
teacher.
he's so what? So what? He's like,
He's
my
like, I was ready to eat it, but
brother,
my brother, boy.
like, and I laughed so hard when I teach his brother too. So I think it's the best part is like this is like their first year they've had two teachers that have taught like each other at the same time. Like I have his brother in the earlier afternoon, and then at the end of the day I have like the younger brother. And so I think it's funny, this is like their first year being on like the same hall, but also, well, they've been on the same hall before, but being on the same hall where they have the same teacher that they share. So they're
Uh-huh.
just tattling on each other about different things, and I'm like, oh my gosh, you guys are a hoot. So
Do you know today, this is apropos of nothing, but I just remembered it. Today I was on Instagram watching the reels and there was a baby. She couldn't have been, I mean, she was big enough to sit, but I mean, she didn't have hair, you know.
mhm.
And she's sitting in her little kid chair and it says she's the younger sister of two deaf brothers. And she was sitting in her chair listening to music and she was like bopping, but she was signing. She was going more and like
Mhm.
laughing and talking to them. And like, I just thought that was so, and I also don't know where that came from. Like, I don't know if maybe Instagram heard somebody in the house say, do you have ASL tonight? But like, I really don't get ASL stuff in my Instagram feed, but I thought that's so cool. And like, never occurred to me that like you're learning to talk, but you're learning to communicate two different ways. And it was just really
Oh
cool.
yeah. Well, I was gonna say I actually can get on. I have fun stuff to talk about that because I love talking about things like that. And it's funny because a lot of times people think, well, like if they have a deaf kid, like their baby is born and then they realize they're deaf, it's always that awkward, like it's almost in their minds, they have to choose one path. You have to go either full speech with the like the cochlear implants, like the hearing aids, all the surgeries, therapies, everything with that. Um, or then there's also ASL, which is learning a whole new language. And a lot of people will think, well, ASL is going to hurt their English, hurt their ability, blah, blah, blah. And it's very misleading. Because honestly, I always recommend, and this is just an opinion, this is just my like kind of thing, is I always recommend having ASL, still exposing them and teaching them ASL because that is still a great way of language. And even those kids who have been like exposed to auditory, hearing aids, cochlear implants all their life, things like that, they still can have issues where English is like a second language to them. So I always say like going with ASL first is really helpful because that still gives them a native language. And you can do both where you have ASL and the speech. And we have kids who do that. We have kids, I mean, I have a few kids who are literally they have hearing aids, they can have speech, they will talk to me, but they also can sign very clear as well. And so they have double the language and they are bilingual and it's very cool. And one of the things that people will think is like, well, the kids can't learn ASL as easily as like learning English. And actually, the brain does not care. The brain does not care if it is a verbal or visual. They just want it just wants language, period. And so that's something that a lot of people think is like, and it is a hard kind of concept and perspective to see because we have that sense that we all we're like we hear everything, so we're very used to that and it's hard to see that other perspective. But our you are out hearing and you've never seen anything, noticed anything different, your brain would still want language in any kind of form it can get. It just wants that language somewhere. And so ASL apply that there still would flourish. And it's always cool. We have a lot of well, we don't have a lot, but there is also people like who are called codas, which is child of a deaf adult. And then there's also siblings of deaf kids and deaf adults. They kind of there's letters kind of flip a little bit. But a lot of these kids, even when they're hearing, they're still bilingual because they have learned ASL at the same time they've learned English. And it's the exact same thing as like a family who has one parent who speaks Spanish while another speaks English. Same concept. And it's always so cool to see. And I love watching, like, I love seeing those videos of like siblings who have like a deaf brother or deaf sister, and they're still signing. They're blah, 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 but they're also like signing with them too. And you can see they're like flipping their languages. And Oh, it's fascinating. I love it. So that's my little soapbox here and there.
I think that's awesome. I was delighted to see the video, so I'm glad I remembered it. So
Yeah. So, but okay, it is now 6:30. I'm not going to keep everybody. Um, but I was going to say, if you do ever think of any other signs that you're curious of, you're like, oh, I'd be curious, you're more than welcome to email Miss Katie. She'll contact me, and then we can always find a way to like kind of give you the sign. Another thing I was going to say is you're more than welcome to join any of our later classes. And
yeah,
that way,
if you're interested, Alexis, just email me. And
yeah, even for like a refresher, you don't have to show up for all 8 classes. You could just be like, I'd like to see this class on this blah 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 again, and she'll
because
tell you
now we've sat through class for 8 weeks with you, we know you're not going to like interrupt every 5 minutes, and
exactly. So you're welcome
we
to
can
come in.
trust you.
Yeah. Um, but yes, you're more than welcome for that. I hope you guys have had a great time learning
Thank
ASL.
you.
So
I hope you had a great time, Alexis. I was glad you
yes,
joined us. And yeah, keep in touch.
yes. So I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of y'all's week, and I will see you guys next time at some point.
Yes,
Bye,
for
guys.
sure. Bye.